If you want to change your life, doing new things, starting new habits, taking on new behaviors, that's gonna make a huge difference. But what could change your life even more is changing the way that you think. Working on how you think is just as important as working on what you do. They kind of go hand in hand. And it can be absolutely tiny changes in your thinking that can make a huge difference in your life. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 mindset shifts, little shifts in the way that you think that you can revisit over and over again that can change your life. These are mindset shifts that I use all of the time in my life. They're little prompts that you can use within like 1 to 2 minutes to prompt totally new ways of thinking. The first mindset shift that I want to talk about is all about creating ease in your life. The next time you are struggling with something in your life, it feels more difficult than you think it should be, sit back and ask yourself the question, how could I make this easy? Making time for your friends, getting through your task lists, setting healthy boundaries, these are all things that you can either make really hard or reasonably easy depending on your perspective. Making time for your friends can be wildly difficult, particularly when you reach your 20s. It turns into this back and forth text conversation of when to meet, where to meet, what restaurant to meet at. But you can also make it easy by organizing just a once a month date where you all go to someone's house and you bring your own food. Getting a movement can be wildly difficult if you force yourself to wake up at 4 a.m, go to a gym in an environment that you hate and do exercises that you don't enjoy. But it can also be easy, parking farther away from places to make sure you're getting in walking and signing up to dance classes that make you feel happy. You don't realize how many things you approach in the hardest way possible until you reflect. So often we go for the hardest option possible and you're not aware of it. You don't know in the moment that you're picking the hardest option. When you sit back and you ask that question, you're like, how can I make this easy? You find obvious solutions that are far easier than whatever you're trying to do. This is such a little mindset shift that can hugely impact your life. You're going to find yourself overcoming weird, false expectations that you've set on yourself that when not met impact no one. You'll move from doing things that you've always done one way to a way that feels so much better for you. And you'll also move towards simply not doing the things that just don't need to be done. If you're struggling through your task list, ask, how can I make things easier for myself? Or even, how am I making things more difficult for myself? So that you can spot where to make things easy. If you need to set a boundary but you keep on putting it off, ask yourself, how could I make this easy? Instead of just powering through the difficult, let that question become a go-to question in your mind to create ease in your life. The next mindset shift is all about creating a more intentional life for yourself. And it's the question, what's it all for? This is one of my favorite focusing questions that I actually picked up from Wandering Aimfully. They have a podcast and that's the title, What's It All For? And the reason they titled their podcast that is because it's their go-to question for choices. Asking this question regularly whenever you are making decisions in your life is going to radically change your life. What's it all for? What is my business for? What is my relationship for? What are my friendships for? What is it all for? You can zoom out and apply this question to your life in general. What is it all for? Is it for connection? If that's the case, why are you not connecting? Is it all for enjoyment? If that's the case, why aren't you getting intentional about creating more enjoyable moments in your life? If your relationships are supposed to be enhancing your life, why aren't they? And you can also take this question and zoom in on more specific things in your life as well. If you plan a holiday and you ask, what's it all for? And you come up with the answer to feel refreshed and relaxed, you're gonna have a very different holiday to someone who wants to feel energized and enthused. This is a really good mindset to embrace whenever you are struggling with something, whenever you're making a decision. If you're like, ugh, like why am I doing this? Ask, what is it all for? Are you doing the wrong things in your life? Are you hanging out with the wrong people in your life if they're not contributing to your why? The next small mindset shift to make is all about making life more enjoyable. The next time that you know you have to do something that you wouldn't usually enjoy, or you just find yourself doing something that you're not enjoying, ask yourself the question, how can I make this more enjoyable? How can I make it more fun? How could I possibly make this a better time for myself? Some things in life simply aren't enjoyable. For me, that is driving in traffic for a long time or going to a shopping center. Both of those things make me feel either grumpy or just weird, but with some tweaks, I can make them more enjoyable for myself. If you hate going to the shops, you can put in some AirPods. You can try to compliment every person that serves you. You can actually wander into your bookstore and let yourself sit down and have a read for a bit. You can end your shopping date with a hot chocolate. Instead of sitting in traffic and just hating life and getting angry, you can sit there and choose to put on an audiobook that you've been wanting to read. Ian Bogost studies fun for a living, and he says that fun is the aftermath of deliberately manipulating a familiar situation in a new way. His advice is to pay close attention, even absurd attention to things. I like mixing the good and the bad. Good music, shopping trip. Hot chocolate, shopping trip. Audiobook, traffic. At the end of the day, if you have to do mundane things or you have periods of time doing things that you don't enjoy, you truly might as well ask the question, how could I make this more enjoyable? The next mindset shift has actually been game changing for me, and it's something that I go back to all of the time. And it is framed in the question, what are your other options? So often often we give ourselves this or that options. Do I cut off that friend or do I keep that friend? Do I dump that person or do I stay with that person? Do I quit my job or do I stay? We rarely consider the other better options. Instead of do I quit or do I stay, it turns into do I talk to my boss about the problems that I'm having? Do I change seats? Do I ask about going part-time? Do I ask about other potential jobs in my department? Do I start putting 80% in instead of 100% and kick off a side hustle? Or do I quit? This question is straight from the book Decisive by Chip and Dan Heath, which is a book that I absolutely love and regularly go back to. The way that they frame it is how can you widen your frame? We often have such a narrow frame. We're thinking about these this or that decisions, and just widening our frame a little could allow us to open to so many more better options. If you find yourself with a this or that decision, remember that it's probably because you haven't explored all of the options available. A good prompting question is imagine that the current options you have on your plate are no longer available. They're not on the menu. You can't touch them. What else could you possibly do? The next mindset shift is all about creating a happier life. And it's the mindset shift of how can I let my emotions inform me and not overwhelm me? If you're someone who is regularly in your feelings, you get overwhelmed by emotions, hi, we could be friends. And this is a good mindset shift for you. When you find that emotions come up, particularly negative ones, when you're angry, you're bitter, you're resentful, instead of letting yourself be swallowed by those emotions and sitting in them and wallowing in them, ask yourself the question, what is this emotion trying to inform me? What's it trying to tell me? What is the message that it's sending me? For example, resentment is often telling you that you need to set some kind of boundary in your life or you need to make a change. Emptiness might be trying to tell you that you haven't looked at or practiced your values in months. Frustration might be telling you that you need to have a conversation with someone or that you need to eat or sleep. The more that you get to know your feelings, the more that you and your feelings interact, the easier it becomes to figure out what your emotions are telling you. You'll start to realize that yes, whenever I feel sad, it usually means this. Whenever I feel bitter, it means I need to do this. This is never about pushing your emotions away at all. If anything, you are embracing your emotions and you're listening to them. You're acknowledging their existence, and then you're taking on whatever messages they might be trying to tell you. If you liked this video, you're going to like the playlist that is linked on the screen. It's filled with all of my little mindset shifts, little thinking habits that I've been embracing or have embraced in my life that have made such a huge difference in my life. I talk about a lot of small, simple mindset shifts similar to the ones that I have in this video, so make sure that you visit that playlist after this video, linked in the description and on the screen. I appreciate you so very much and I will see you soon.